Let's be honest, making a batch of chocolate chip cookies is easy, right? If you were to compare the thousands of recipes available to you right now, floating around the web, they all share the same cast of characters. Sure, some vary a little bit with the addition of nuts or other add-ins, but essentially, they all share the same cookie DNA. Flour, butter, sugar, baking powder, baking soda, vanilla, and of course, chocolate chips. Which begs the question, why so many recipes then? Well, the interesting part of cookie baking is not so much what you're using, but how you're using it. So let me take you through my approach to making chocolate chip cookies and why I think these are a step above the rest. This is kitchen serious. Most recipes involve creaming your sugar with softened butter, but I'm going to melt down and brown the butter, giving it a distinct, multi-layered flavor profile, ranging from nutty to a slight toffee flavor. The key to browning butter is to not let it get stagnant too long. Always shimmy the pan every now and again until the butter starts to look really clear, at which point you can see the milk solids kind of dropping to the bottom and slowly getting golden brown. Even though this is a time-lapse video, make sure and get this off the heat as soon as it starts getting golden brown. Go ahead and move it to a heat-proof bowl. To help halt the cooking and cool it down faster, I saved 4 tablespoons to add in. And real quick guys, if you've noticed, I don't like throwing up the obnoxious graphics of saying, please like, subscribe, because I truly believe if you like this, you will subscribe. But for this particular video, I want to get this to 500 likes, so if you could help me out there, that would be awesome. Alright, now back to it. While our brown butter is cooling, we're going to sift up our flours. We're using a combination of cake flour as well as bread flour. A little bit of baking soda, baking powder, and salt. Don't worry, all the measurements are in the description. Now that we have the dries out of the way, we're going to move to our brown butter, which we'll be adding to a mixture of white sugar as well as dark brown sugar. Now I'm going to whisk this at high speed until it gets a little bit lighter and everything's well incorporated. After that, we're going to add 2 large room temperature eggs, one at a time. After it's well mixed, we're going to follow that up with 2 teaspoons of vanilla extract. Now it's time to work in the dry ingredients with the mix attachment. I'm going to work in thirds. So after we get our final third of the dry mix in, you're going to notice the dough is going to be a lot stiffer than a lot of your typical cookie dough. Don't worry, this is all by design. Once it's all come together, we're now ready to just fold in our chocolate chips. In my case, I opted for 60% bittersweet chocolate. Feel free to use whatever chips you'd like, but these 60% chips work really well with the brown butter. You might be wondering, holy shit, he's using a lot of chocolate chips. And you'd be right. I'm using 20 ounces of the Ghirardelli chocolate discs. That's 2 10-ounce bags. Now to make these beautiful big bakery-style cookies, I'm going to be using a 1/4 cup scoop to portion out this dough. And of course, if you want them smaller, feel free to just roll them out in kind of a golf ball shape. But this recipe is really built for making these big bakery-style cookies. And not only is a 1/4 cup scoop pretty beefy, it's also going to provide some height for these cookies, so when they bake, they're still going to sit pretty tall. As I mentioned before, this recipe is specifically designed for these thicker bakery-style cookies. Because of that, you're going to want to refrigerate these for 24 hours before baking. The reason is to control the spread. The butter, which is still essentially in liquid form, is going to allow the cookie to spread way out as it bakes and not get near as thick. To combat this, as you know, when butter gets refrigerated, it will solidify. So when it goes into the oven, it's going to spread a whole lot less and sit taller. So after I get all these portioned out, I'm going to wrap them up and throw them in the fridge until tomorrow. Okay, here we are a day later and we're ready to bake. I will say, full disclosure, I had an accident with these. One of them actually slipped and fell into my mouth. So we're going to bake these at 350 for about 14 to 16 minutes. This is where each oven is going to be a little bit different, so make sure and keep an eye on these and do not overbake. You want to pull these when they just start getting barely golden. If there's one thing I can tell you to bake better cookies is to never wait until it looks like it's done. If it looks like it's done when it's in the oven, you've baked it too long. After about 5 minutes, these should be safe to move to a container or a plate, or my favorite, my mouth. So thanks so much for checking out Kitchen Serious, everybody. I will see you next time.